Kagome is lying on the ground. She couldn't move or speak to warn him about her, because she is tied by chains and little demons. Just then, the woman asks Inuyasha to look into the lake, which brings back old memories from when he was a child. She asks him to hug her again, like when he was a child, but this is not as simple as it seems, since the woman literally inserts her hands into his heart, and everything around him changes. At the same time, Myoga tries to release Kagome, but this is not necessary, since she manages to do it herself. As she approaches them, she learns that the woman is a demon who was hired by Jaken to trick Inuyasha into giving him the location of his father's grave. Myoga informs Kagame that Jaken is Sesshomaru's subordinate, who possesses the human head staff, so they must be careful with him. Continuing with Inuyasha, the more time he spends immersed in the illusion of his mother, the more his body fuses with the demon's body. Through this, the demon finds information about a black pearl, but on Jaken's orders, the woman continues to delve into his thoughts, even though this would only cause the destruction of his soul. However, this action wakes Inuyasha up, but he cannot free himself, as he is completely trapped by the demon. Just then, Kagome appears, and not only does she take Jaken's staff and then hit him, but she chases the woman to free Inuyasha. The woman absorbs almost all of Inuyasha's body, and in the midst of his desperation, Myoga tells Kagome that to free him, she must awaken Inuyasha's spirit. After all, that woman is the unmother demon, and she was created by the forlorn spirits of mothers who lost children to famine or war. But if she reawakens the spirit that's under the spell of the unmother, Inuyasha's body will be released. Kagome wonders how she will do it before he is completely absorbed, though it only takes a moment for her to find the answer. When she sees the reflection in the lake, she notices that in it, Inuyasha is just a child, so she deduces that if she breaks the reflection, she will be able to free him. Her plan apparently works, so after Inuyasha recovers, she explains to him that this was all Sesshomaru's doing. As if they hadn't had enough, his brother appears, who has finally discovered where his father's grave is. To everyone's surprise, it's in the least expected place, in Inuyasha's right eye. The black pearl that leads to his father's remains was sealed there, and he assumes that it was sealed there so that his grave wouldn't be desecrated. But this is no impediment to Sesshomaru, who easily pulls the pearl out of Inuyasha's eye and attacks him to finish him. However, just then, the unmother interferes, taking the lethal attack to save Inuyasha. She clearly couldn't survive the attack, so she died on the spot. After seeing this, Kagome wanted to confront him for being so cruel, for playing with his feelings, but she was stopped by Myoga, since if she did that, no one would be able to leave that place alive. Plus, at that moment, Jaken arrives, and he has recovered the human head staff, which Sesshomaru uses to destroy the Black Pearl and open a portal that leads to his father's true grave. The two of them immediately enter the portal, so they're quickly followed by Inuyasha and Myoga. Despite Inuyasha asking her to stay, Kagome is the first to enter the portal, wanting to give Sesshomaru a lesson. The three of them are teleported to the real tomb, which is full of rocks and a giant skeleton in the middle of the place. These bones belong to Inuyasha's father, though Kagome is having a hard time believing that, since they're huge. Myoga clarifies that Inuyasha's father was a phantom of incomparable stature, and here he is in his truest form, undisguised, and the treasured sword embedded in his bones is what Sesshomaru is after. What they weren't expecting is that Sesshomaru had already found it, the lethal fang sword, Tetsusaiga, known to kill 100 beasts in a single stroke. This sword was forged from one of his father's fangs, and being in possession of it empowers you with as much strength as him. However, when Sesshomaru tries drawing the sword out of the pedestal, he's unable to do so, because his father was very cautious and protected it with a spell. However, this was not the real reason, as Myoga explains that Inuyasha was meant to inherit the sword, and the fact that the tomb was entrusted to him is proof of that. Despite this, Inuyasha couldn't care less about this, and he not only doesn't take the sword, but he starts fighting Sesshomaru for what he did, not caring if they're in the tomb right now. Still, he is no match for Sesshomaru, so Kagome convinces him to draw the sword. That way he would ridicule his brother, who couldn't do it. Inuyasha tries, and although the spell doesn't repel him, he still can't pull out the sword. That's why Sesshomaru uses this opportunity to finish off his brother once and for all. However, when Kagome sees this, without thinking she goes to where the sword is, and to everyone's surprise, she draws the sword out with ease.